You don't have a noise problem, you have a gate problem. That's the thing I want you to sit with today. Because I think most of us are trying to solve the wrong equation. We're trying to reduce the chaos, when what we actually need is better boundaries around what gets in. Welcome to Living on a Prayer. I'm so glad you're here. We're sitting with Proverbs 4:23 today, under the title, Guarding Your Heart in Chaos. And I want to suggest that this single ancient verse might be the most practical, most urgent piece of wisdom you could apply to your life right now. Not next year, right now. Because here's what I notice about all of us, myself included. We complain about feeling spiritually depleted. We say things like, I just feel drained, or I can't focus anymore, or I don't know why I feel so off. And then we try to fix it by doing less. We cancel a commitment. We take a weekend off. We unsubscribe from a few newsletters. And sure, we feel marginally better for about 48 hours. And then we're right back to feeling hollowed out. Why? Because we're treating the symptoms, not the source. The source isn't that you're too busy, although you probably are. The source is that you have become a wide open door. Your mind is a house with every window thrown open and the front door off its hinges. You're letting everything in all day long, and you're surprised when the interior is a wreck. Opinions that aren't yours, fears that don't belong to you, comparisons that poison your contentment, outrage that isn't even yours to carry. And then you sit down to pray or read scripture or just be still, and you can't hear anything over the noise. Of course you can't. You've been hosting a riot in your head since 6 a.m. So let's go to the text. Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. That's the NIV. Other translations say, for it is the wellspring of life. The Hebrew there is motza. It means the source, the outflow, the place from which everything else originates. And that phrase, above all else, that's not decorative, that's not filler. Solomon is saying, if you get one thing right, get this right. Guard the heart. Protect the interior. Watch what enters, because whatever takes root in your heart will eventually show up in your life, in your words, your decisions, your relationships, your character. It all flows downstream from what you've allowed in. Now, I want to push on something here because I think we've spiritualized this verse in a way that actually drains its power. When many of us hear guard your heart, we think it's about emotional purity in romantic relationships. Don't give your heart away too easily. Don't fall for the wrong person. And sure, that's part of it, but that's a thin reading. Solomon isn't writing a dating manual. He's writing survival instructions. The heart in Hebrew thought isn't just the seat of emotions. It's the command center. It's the place where you think, where you choose, where you process reality. To guard your heart is to protect the very core of who you are. Your inner life, your imagination, your capacity to hear God, your ability to love what is good and reject what destroys. And that kind of guarding isn't passive. It's not a feeling, it's an action. It's a discipline. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. The word guard, natsar in Hebrew, it means to watch over, to keep, to preserve with intention. It's the same word used for a watchman on a wall. A watchman doesn't just hope the city stays safe. A watchman checks who's approaching. A watchman challenges strangers. A watchman shuts the gate when trouble comes. Now ask yourself, are you doing that with your interior life? Are you checking what approaches your mind? Are you challenging what tries to enter? Or are you just lying there with the gate open, letting every voice, every image, every narrative walk right in and make itself at home? Let me make this concrete. Think about the first 30 minutes of your day. What enters your mind before you've even gotten out of bed or poured your coffee? Whose opinions shape your first thoughts? What images are the first thing your eyes land on? What voices are loudest before you've heard from God at all? For most of us, and I'm including myself here, the first voices we hear each day are not divine. They're commercial. They're anxious. They're adversarial. They belong to strangers on the internet who don't know us, don't love us, and don't have our best interests at heart. And we wonder why we feel spiritually anemic. So what changes? What does it actually look like to guard your heart? I want to give you something practical, but I want to be honest. This isn't a life hack. This is a reordering. It starts with an audit. For one day, just one, pay attention to what you're letting in. Not just the obvious stuff. I'm talking about the background noise, the radio in the car, the podcast while you cook, the news running in the other room, the group chat buzzing all afternoon, the argument between strangers you read for entertainment. Then ask yourself a simple question about each one. Is this building me up or tearing me down? Is this feeding my trust in God or feeding my fear? Is this helping me love people better or making me more suspicious of them? You might be startled by what you find, because here's what I've learned the hard way. Whatever you let in the loudest becomes the loudest voice in you. If you fill yourself with outrage, you'll become an outraged person. If you fill yourself with cynicism, you'll become a cynical person. If you fill yourself with content that constantly tells you the world is ending and everyone is against you, your soul will eventually believe it. But the inverse is also true. If you fill yourself with what is true, what is good, what is rooted in the character of God, you'll become a person of substance. You'll have something to offer when the chaos comes. Because the chaos will come. You can't eliminate it, but you can decide what grows inside you when it does. That's what Solomon knew. He wasn't promising a storm-free life. He was saying, when the storms hit, the condition of your heart will determine everything. So here's what I'm asking you to do today. Not a massive overhaul, just one small act of guarding. Close one door. Turn off one feed. Replace one input with silence or with scripture or with honest prayer. Just one. And see what begins to shift. If this resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who might need it. Leave a comment below with what you're choosing to guard against today. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. May the God who guards you teach you to guard what He has given. May He give you the courage to close what needs closing, the wisdom to recognize what belongs, and the peace that comes when your inner life finally has room to breathe. Thank you for being here. Grace and peace to you always.